Okay, welcome back to chapter 8, scheduling resource and cost. Previous chapter we have studied about the risk, and also we study about the time scheduling. Now we come to the resource and cost. Resource is referred to human resource. Cost is about the budget that to spend each activity. Okay, this is the map that we have discussed so far, and now we go to chapter 8. Okay. Okay, come to the overview of the resource scheduling problem. So the only problem is the scarce resource that we have to assign to each task. So the problem might happen because of the project network time. So the project network time, like we studied previous chapter, that there are some network among the from work task A to until they finish the task. So we have the network, so we can see that from point A to point Z to finish the project, we can see the time. But each time that we create, it's not the schedule until we put resource into each task. So then because the resource have the capacity, so then we can see that the the when we put it become the schedule. So for the cost estimate and not also not a budget, like but it will be budget. Actually, cost and the budget, it can be interchangeable, but we use the cost to imply that the cost that we estimate. Okay, but when the cost is already finalized with the time, it becomes the budget. So this is the problem. Sometimes we estimate the cost, but we don't know how much we get from each schedule, each task. Okay. So in the project planning process, it requires, this is the process that we already studied previously, that the scope, WBS, work breakdown structure, that's very important to respond to the scope of the work. And then we build the network the sticky note post-it model. We create the network, and then we go to, now we come to the resource and cost scheduling. So this is the structure, the original structure, the WSB. And network, we can see the time, and now we come to create the resource, schedule the resource, and then finally we create the master plan. However, in each step of the process of planning, we associate the risk, like we study in chapter 7. Okay, so every step have the risk. Okay, we continue to deal with the resource problem. So first is resource smoothing or level. Involve attempting to even out vary demand on the resource by using slack time, in case delaying and critical activity to manage resource utilization when resources are adequate over the life of the project. So smoothing means the project uh, will be executed according to the plan. Okay. Uh, so in order to make the project smooth, sometimes project manager use the slack in order to ensure that they have enough time to manage. And this resource smoothing have another criteria, another condition, which is the resource are adequate over the life of the project, so there's no constraint. However, there are some problems related to the resource constraint scheduling. So the constraint happen based on delaying the late start and have not enough resource to meet the peak demand. Okay. For the type of constraint can be technical or logical constraint. Constraint relate to the network sequence in which project activity might occur. Secondly is the physical constraint, the activity that cannot occur in parallel or are affected by the contractual or environmental condition. So some work, let's say that it cannot work in parallel, like work A and work B start at the same time, finish at the same time. It cannot do that because naturally it have to finish one and then start another one. So the definition of resource constraint can be the absence, shortage, or unique interrelationship and interaction characteristic of the resource that require a particular sequencing of the project activity. The kind of resource constraint can be people, material, and equipment. So this is the example for the technical constraint that is start like in the A work, the model A, start, pour, frame, roof, end. And for another job is the same, is start, design, code, test, and end. It cannot be start and then design, coding, and testing at the same line. Cannot do this. It have to be sequence, one finish and start another one. For the resource constraint can be like we plan and then we do these three jobs in the model B. Purchase refreshment, decorate hall, hire band. But naturally, the resource can be start one by one, like in model C2, like plan, hire band, decorate hall, start, purchase refreshment or reception, and then reception. This is it look like the party or something like that. But let's see the difference between B and C. So here it might be because of the time constraint. Okay, you can because you have a time constraint, but your resource, the people you have enough, so you can do in model B. But in case that you have time but you have constraint with the people, you will do in model C, which is one person will do all the job one by one. Okay. So we continue to the classification of schedule problem. So the classification of schedule problem can by using a priority matrix to help determine if the project is time or resource constraint. Okay, we use the priority matrix, which is which one comes first, and then for the time constraint project is must be complete by the imposed time, which is time is fixed, resource is flexible, additional resources are required to ensure the project meet the schedule. But for the resource constraint project, is the one in which the level of resource available cannot be exceeded. So the resources are fixed but time flexible, like the model C. Okay, and inadequate resource will be delay the project. there's only one person to do the job. So if he cannot finish the job, then it will delay automatically. We continue to resource allocation method. So there's some assumption. First is limiting assumption. When you allocate the resource, the limiting assumption is splitting activity. It's not allowed when the project start, but you can split before the project start. Second, level of resource used for the activity cannot be changed. For the resumption, activity with the most slack pose the least risk, because the more which means that you precaution to schedule. Okay, reduction of flexibility does not increase the risk, and the nature of activity easy complex does not increase the risk. So these three assumptions that isolate the risk from the project. Okay. Third, the time constraint project. So it must be complete by the imposed date. Okay. Require use of the leveling technique that focus on balancing or smoothing the resource demand. And lastly, use positive slack, which delay the critical activity to manage resource utilization over the duration of the project. So when you do the positive slack, which means that some activity that when you give some slack to that activity, it doesn't affect the whole project. Okay, when you do the positive slack, it will help you to the peak resource demand are reduced, resource over the life of the project are reduced, and the fluctuation in resource demand is minimized. Okay, for the exercise today, for this chapter, I want you to go and read the botanical garden and try to understand and summarize into the work. Okay. We continue to resource demand leveling technique for time constraint project. For the advantage of leveling technique is the peak resource demand are reduced, resource over the life of the project are reduced, and the fluctuation of resource demand is minimized. For the disadvantage, there's a loss of flexibility that occur from using slack and increase in the criticality of all activity. And the resource constraint because the resources are limited in the quantity or availability, so we need to, because of that make the resource constraint. And the other one is activity schedule using heuristic that focus on minimize slack, smallest duration, and lowest activity identification number. Sometimes the project manager, he or she use the rule of thumb, okay, which means that have no benchmark. It's based on his experience or based on his information, personal. So he minimize the slack time by based on his experience or her experience. Another one is the parallel method is used to apply the heuristic that an iterative process starting at the first time and period of the project, and you use the period by period start of any activity using the 3 priority rule. So resource constraint schedule through period 2 and 3. Now let's look which one is the constraint. Okay, which one is the constraint? Resource constraint. Okay, so I think that you still remember this, right? Identity 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, there are 7 tasks, and this is the early start, early finish, late start, duration, and late finish. So this is the identity of this one is the resource. We use the resource. 2%. Only 2% do the job. So after he finished this, and then he move here, and the same 2% do this 2 job. Okay, and another one. So it's going to be 5 people doing the job at the same time. So and then it moved to 1%, and at the end only 1% finished the job, and for the duration it's 12 days. Okay, early start and early finish. Let's look at the slack time. Slack time, there's you can add 2, and this one is 6. So because of non-critical work, so you can have a slack time, but the slack time is can be associated with the early start and early finish, and late start and late finish. Here only 6 days, and then it will count to 4 8, and then it will be finished by 10. Okay, the work two more work 5 and work 6. Let's say the period work 5 and work 6 is only 1, but it followed by the work number 3. So the work number 3 finished by 6 day number 6. So it will be at slack time 2 days more, and then it will be 8 days, but at the end it finished by 10. So the 10 plus 2 more days, and then the job finished by 12. So this is the time constraint. When you see this constraint, look at 2 and 3. This is there's no slack time. Okay, compared to this one, it might be a technical one, work number 4, non-technical, non-critical one, but this 2 is very critical. You have to finish. So this work have more time, but this one cannot. So this is the resource constraint schedule through period 2 and 3. So see, this is the resource duration, and then it work finish. You need like how many percent? 5% is the most important one. You need more resource, so make sure that at this period of time you have enough resource to finish the job, otherwise the job may be delayed. Okay, we come to the impact of the resource constraint schedule. The impact can be reduce delay, but not reduce the flexibility when we do the resource constraint, and increase the criticality of event, increase schedule complexity, may make the traditional critical path no longer meaningful, which means that when we start make the resource more, utilize the resource effectively, it can break sequence of the event and may cause the parallel activity to become sequential and critical activity with the slack to become non-critical. For the splitting means that you divide the one task into two. So by definition, it's a scheduling technique for creating a better project schedule and or increase resource utilization. So this is how we split the activity. For example, here, okay, split the activity. So the activity in model 1, activity duration without splitting, and then come to split to segment A, B, C, D. And then in A, there's some start and finish. Okay, shut down, start up. Okay. So it's more easy to manage. But however, this one, it might be create more overload tasks. And if the splitting only when the project is very complex. Okay. So the benefit of scheduling resource, it can be leave the time for consideration for reasonable activity. We can do the cost time trade-off and then change in priority. And then provide information for time phase work package budget to access by impacting on unforeseen event and also amount of flexibility in availability resource. For the multi-project resource schedule, we do the multi-project scheduling problem with the overall project slip, inefficient resource application, and lastly the resource bottleneck. So when managed in a multi-project, these three might happening all the time. Delay, resource overload resource, no lack of resource, and or sometimes not very well manage the resource, and one most important part is the bottleneck, which is the shortage of critical resource required to multiply the project. Okay, we use one critical part, one critical resource in multi-project. Yeah? And manage multi-project scheduling can create project office or department to oversee the schedule of resource across project. Use the project priorities queuing system, first come first serve for the resource, and centralize the project management by mega project, and then outsource the project to reduce the number of project handling internally. Using the resource schedule, develop a project cost baseline. The cost baseline means that you set the cost based on the cost. Why we do this? To determine if the project is on, ahead, or behind the schedule, over or under the budget cost, and then to know how much work have been accomplished for allocate money spent and the project cost baseline, and we can do the PV. Okay, plan value, and then create a time phase budget by assigning each work package to one responsible person or one department to deliverable, and compare plan schedule and cost using the integrative system called earning value. So this is how we do the job, okay, by creating like this. It's called budget for the cost account work package budget. I think that you used to see this in the previous chapter. Okay, 15,300. This, okay, this is the budget. Okay, we allocate. So this is the time-based work package budget. We use the money here, duration, and then we create the work period. So we understand very clearly. Okay, this is we subtract from the Microsoft project to let you see that more clearly on the time phase. So this the how we do the work. Okay, here's the key term that you need to do, and as a homework, and don't forget finish your homework in the course syllabus.